Hello once again, witchy people. Today is October the 21st and today is Apple Day. So I thought I would grab an apple and cut it open. Now when you cut open an apple, most people like to cut it this way. I like to cut it this way. And the reason why is because that way you can see the star inside. Now, it's quite appropriate that today is Apple Day, and that one's actually slightly better. I don't know if you can see there, that's better. Quite appropriate that this video is today because I've just watched Trish's video about self-love and self-care in these times. And I think Apple Day, in part, can help that. And you may ask why. Apple Day. So, obviously you've got the star here. And the idea is you cut the apple up into the segments. So you get 5 segments. It's not the easiest thing to do, but this is why I do it this way. You just lay it down on the table and follow the markings and cut it out, so you've got 5 roughly equal segments. And as you eat each segment, you have to visualize and give an attribute to each segment to make a whole. And these are, so cut it into 5 pieces. As you eat those 5 pieces, and it's nice to have 2 because this way you can share it and have 2 people do it, or you can do it in slices and then cut each slice into the 5 segments. But if you cut it this way, you get the 5 segments. So when you eat the first part, you think about logic and your brain and how logic plays. You know, we have to have logic in every day, and think about how that idea of being logic, even though we're witches and we have this whole metaphysical thing going on and we believe in magic and the supernatural, we still have to have a certain amount of logic in our lives. Of course we do. So you think about how that logic and how your brain, your amazing brain, takes part in your life. So when you eat your second one, your second slice out of the 5 is your emotions. Now, emotions aren't just for thinking about specifically how they affect you each day, but how they shape you your whole life. And not just your emotions, but how you react to other people's emotions as well. So when you eat your third segment, you're thinking about your body as a whole, and how, not just how your body can move, but how it helps you move through life. And accepting not just the things we like about our bodies, but the things we don't like so much about our bodies too. And that, you know, we all have good things and bad things that we like and dislike about our bodies, and sometimes we don't like our bodies at all. But you still have to, the same way as we do with our brain, accept that these are amazing machines. Even if they don't work properly, they're still amazing machines. So the 4th one, the 4th piece of the apple, to me is one of the most important, and it's instinct. It's raw gut instinct, and how we, although we have the logic and we rely on logic, and we should rely on logic, sometimes we have to rely on instinct. And instinct is a powerful thing. And it's not just how you instinctively know something, but your primal instincts, how we act and react to things, and how this also shapes us as a whole being. Now, the last piece of the apple is probably the most important piece, and that represents connections. It is connections, especially at this time of year, you have to think it's connections to family, to your past, but it's connections to your emotions and passion. It's a special connection to passion and how passionate we are about things. So as you have each piece of this apple, even if it's just a slice of the apple that you're having that you segmented into 5 pieces and you're sharing the apple around, think about those 5 things. So your logic and your brain, your emotions and how they can shape you in general, your body and how it moves, and not just how it moves, but how it moves you through life, your instinct and your connections and passion as a whole, and how you use each of these to be a whole person. And it's a lot of it is to do with accepting. You have to accept, first of all, your flaws as well as your positives. Accept that things do change, and sometimes not for the better. You accept age, and that things age and change in that way. It's also accepting loss, because as we age, obviously, we lose friends, family, memory. It's also accepting change in the form of the new, and that can be exciting sometimes. So this is another way of perhaps self-love and self-care, which I thought really tied in nicely to Trish's video, which I will link below. And I just thought it was a really nice connection to sort of apple day and apples, and that sort of like ritual you have. Like I said, I don't do magical ritual. If you can hear scrapings and scratchings, it's the dog trying to get in. I'm sorry. Distractions. So, yeah, I don't do ritual. Big magical rituals. I don't cast circles and things like that. But things like eating an apple, and I guess it also ties into making the mundane magical. Just not on a Monday. On any day. It is making those connections and, you know, putting a little bit of magic in and thinking very carefully about how you do things. But like I say, I don't do big rituals, but this is the kind of ritual that I do. So on from that, I do hope that you are all taking care of yourselves. Take a bite of the apple, savour it, and really, oh, I'm getting a bit deep here, aren't I? You know what I mean. Learn that part of it is acceptance. See, this, I think, what the way Trish puts things is, yes, we are, it's not just your town or your state or your country that's going through this right now. We are all going through this. We are in it together. And we have to, although we are isolated because there is a disassociation here. We are disassociating from each other because we have to have distance, physical distance. And I think for many of us that has almost put in a mental and emotional distancing. And that has impacted very much that when we are alone, those emotions that we now cannot share because we are emotionally distanced from people are almost overwhelming when we're on our own. But you have to see that you are not, although you may be alone, you're not going through this alone. You're not the only person going through this, and other people do know how you feel, and they have some idea of what you may be going through. Even though we are not in the same jobs, we don't have the same lives, we don't have the same connections to people and places, we understand how difficult it is for everyone, and understand that you're not alone, and you're not going through this alone, and that even though it's a difficult time to reach out physically to people, you can't hug someone and and hold someone close that you love and let them know that they're cared for. We have to make connections in other ways, and sometimes that's hard. Sometimes it's very difficult to make other people understand how much they mean to you when you can't touch them, you can't go and visit them, you can't hold them, and you can't comfort people with your presence. It is really difficult, and I suppose that's really YouTube and social media has become incredibly important for all of us. But yeah, do take a bite of the apple. Take a bite of the apple, take 5 bites of the apple, and think about each part, and know that as a whole, that makes you who you are, but it also makes us who we are. And it is about accepting, but also about making connections and taking things as a whole, and knowing that things are going to change. They're not always going to be this way. So yes, what went on from letting you know that today was Apple Day is kind of gone on. But like I said, it wasn't the whole idea of taking an apple and almost examining each part as a reflective part of yourself and your life, and putting it together as a whole and accepting it, and really thinking about each part and loving each part of you. But not just that, it is not just accepting parts of you of yourself, but accepting other people as well. Like I said, knowing that we are all going through this. So, and this is, I'm hoping this time next year we're all going to look back on these videos that we've made over the past year and realise not only just how difficult, of course we know how difficult it is, but how out of the ordinary it is, and I hope we don't have to go through something like this ever again. So, Apple Day, I'm now going to eat my apple in sections. So thank you for watching, witchy people. I'll be back very, very soon. Bye for now. Ooh.